You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Welcome to Ask Amy from What Fresh Hell Laughing in the Face of Motherhood, solving your parenting dilemmas one question at a time. This week's question comes from Facebook. A listener says, when my 7-year-old gets upset, he refuses to talk to us, even to describe the event that led to his reaction. He seems to prefer to process things internally, and so his immediate reaction is to shut down and say, I don't want to talk about it. My spouse and I have both made a strong and conscious effort to validate his feelings and to be open and available for the times he does want to talk, but more often than not, my son just prefers to bury the experience and move on without talking about it. And move on sometimes means him concluding that after one bad experience, an activity is horrible and he will never try it again. So therapy is probably a direction we are heading in, or do you think we should start with the school social worker? Some kids, like some adults, are more emotionally expressive than others. And from what I can tell from your question, that your kid processes internally, especially at his age, is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a little unclear because you also don't say what kinds of things he's upset about that you're talking about. And maybe you honestly don't know. But I mean that like picked last for the game at recess is one kind of disappointment. It's very different from, I just heard my classmate's parent was seriously injured and that's freaking me out. So it depends on what these events are. If you know that your son has gone through some truly hard things that he refuses to unpack, then yes, I think a therapist is always required. If that's not what's going on, it really depends on the intensity of the precipitating events, the frequency, and how often you see these reactions. If your kid is spending half his time at home in tears, but he doesn't want to talk about it, whatever it is, then you do need to encourage opening up. Then you do need to lean into this because he's obviously expressing unhappiness, frustration, anger all the time. I mean, that's another thing. If he's taking it out on his siblings, if he's lashing out, pulling the pet's tail, what are clearly inappropriate expressions of bottled up emotion, then yes, that is something that has to be dealt with. But a 7-year-old is really often not ready to express emotions verbally. Their ability to express themselves might be frustrated by their own vocabulary and their own perspective, and they might not need to express emotions in the way that we do. There are other things that your child can do. They can draw a picture showing how they feel. They can play songs that indicate how sad they feel. I think the most important thing, and sounds like you're doing this already, give him the opportunity to open up. But even less than that, even less than like, hey, bud, do you want to talk about it? Want to sit on the couch and have some cocoa? Is simply to model and talk about the things that you and your spouse do to move past disappointment and hurt feelings for yourself. Talk about them in his presence. Don't always draw a direct line from that to what you're asking him to do, if you feel me. Just let him hear you say at dinner time, like, oh my gosh, my boss really yelled during the meeting today and it just kind of ruined my whole day. So I came home and I did a couple minutes of a meditation on my app and I feel a lot better. Therapy might be warranted at some point, but this really seems developmentally appropriate to me. Unless, like I said, you know that the precipitating event is something serious enough to really warrant attention. Now let's talk about the move on part where you say your kid has one bad experience at rec soccer. For example, comes home, I don't want to talk about it, but he's not going to do it again. This is also very common and developmentally appropriate. There's often a little anger involved. There's often some refusal of what's not easy or comfortable. I'm thinking of the time I took a hot yoga class and left halfway through and never went back to hot yoga because it was just not for me. I think that's kind of fine. But if there's actual fear involved, actual panic at the notion of going back to soccer, there's tantrums or bedwetting or sort of concerning acting out, that could be a sign of anxiety that your child needs help with. It's again, a little hard to tell from what you wrote, but a kid who gets easily frustrated and then rejects a thing that he's frustrated by, yes, that's something you need to work on with that child. I don't think that's something you need to be deeply concerned about. So overall, model naming your emotions, and talking about them in his presence without forcing him to do the same, without saying, see, this is exactly like what you were going through. This is mostly a watch and wait situation, I think. Your child may well become an adult who doesn't always want to talk about what's bothering him, but if that's an overall happy, functioning adult, that sounds an awful lot like a lot of people I know. Keep an eye on it, but try not to get too concerned. Send us your parenting questions and we might answer yours next. Email us questions@whatfreshhellpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.